Hi, I'm Travis Kelsey. Have you ever felt masculine? Like, yeah, I play football, I win Super Bowls, but is being an alpha male really worth it? The answer is no. Sometimes I think, what if I were a beta male?
I think colored people should have their own schools.
Racist!
People of color need their own schools.
Excellent!
Hi, this is day 56 of me identifying as a puppy, and everything's been great so far. There are a few downers, though. My mom is now allergic. Go figure. And some stores are still not allowing me inside. There's still a little puppy phobic. We're gonna have to re-educate. Puppies are humans, too.
It's hard to be progressive as a goalie. Mm-hmm. You can't score as a goalie very often. It's very rare. And conservatives are supposed to stand their ground. And we don't anymore. We move back and back and back because we're fighting against progression. They're constantly progressing because they're strikers on the field. They're actually trying to score. We're just really terrible goalies now. Mm-hmm. That's the founding fathers set forth standards and said, follow these standards. And we've given in. Mm-hmm. We say, they don't matter anymore. Conservatives they're not constitutionalists. It's all just, once you make it and you start racking in the money as a politician, you take the money.
And
because where else are you going to go?
Yeah.
You have a degree that's useless usually if you're in politics.
Yeah, you've already created this trail.
Right. If you lose your job, what are you going to what are you going to do?
You already have a name for yourself. You're blackballed in a lot of industries because a lot of people don't agree with some of it. It's too public.
So you take the money and take a step back and let the progressive score every once in a while.
Yep.
You're throwing the game.
Yeah. And the thing is, I would rather be considered a constitutionalist over a conservative any day.
Of course. You stand on principle.
Yes. I'm like, because get rid of the political parties of like what you want to identify as, but like truly like I just want to support the Constitution because that is what the founding fathers wanted for this country.
It's America.
It's
not the papers and the contract of America.
That is what this country is built on. If you don't like it,
whether or not the people lived up to it at the time, they believed in the principles, even if they didn't own up to them themselves. They believed in them.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, these are the principles. This is the blue map to how what do you call that? This is just like the
blueprint.
Yeah, it's the blueprint of like how the founding fathers wanted this country to run. It's not like they just wrote this down randomly.
And like we were talking with, I don't care if somebody identifies as a woman.
Yeah.
I can't say you are a real woman. There'd be no reason to identify. Mm-hmm. It doesn't logically make sense.
It's not within my rights in the Constitution to tell you what you want. You have to be.
I can't control you. And you also can't control my speech to establish I want to be called this because I have my freedom to not call you that.
Yeah. I have my freedom to not like it either and say that I don't like it.
Two contrary things cannot be true at the same time. Mm-hmm. Two things can be true at the same time. But two contrary things cannot. You can't identify as something and also be real. Uh-huh. Like, that's not possible.
You can pretend to be something.
You wouldn't have to identify if you were it.
Yeah.
So, saying you identify as a woman, I'm okay with. Where I have a problem is saying, hey kids, come identify with me.
Yes.
No, you
and then
can't
forcing
do that.
you to be like, you have to...
Allow me to...
You have to validate my false perception of reality. Mm-hmm. They're like, no, I do not have to do that. And so here's how the Constitution works. If you want to dress up as a woman and you are a man, you're free to do so. That's within your constitutional rights. Go for it. And it's within my constitutional rights, freedom of speech, to not call you whatever I don't have to validate your reality or your perception of reality.
You have the freedom to be wrong.
Yes. Yeah. You live in some alternate reality and this is like not real, and like that's fine, but it's within my constitutional rights to not call you by your pronouns that you want to pretend to go by, and it's within my constitutional rights to not like it. And like you said, and if you want to do more than that because you're a caring person and you want to advocate and you think it's wrong, and also it's like the children aspect too, because you care, and it's in your constitutional rights to care.
Right.
But it's like, well, I don't want, like, if you want to do that.
Well, you want kids to be straight. No, I want kids to be kids. Because straight is a sexual attraction, and I don't want kids. I don't want kids sexually attracted to anything.
I don't want my kids to be straight or gay.
What do you mean, gay kids? Because gay is a sexual attraction, and kids are not sexual.
Yes.
Well, you want them to be straight kids? No, I just want them to be kids.
Yes.
I just want them to be kids.
Yeah, we don't need to teach them about who they should be having sex with.
No, because they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
They're not sexual beings.
Yes.
They're children.
Yeah. And it's like the Constitution, everyone just needs to freaking read that again, because everyone is like, oh, well, you have to, if this is what I want to go by, you have to accept it. No, I don't.
The government's too involved, and if the first 3 words of the Constitution are "we the people," that's not the government. The government doesn't have the say-so, we the people do. That's why it's huge. It says we the people are in control, and those rights and everything are given to us.
Yes.
And they're not
to the government.
They're not to the government. And the Second Amendment there is for if they overreach it. But it doesn't matter because we're so divided as a country that you have one side that is basically for communism. There's no doubt in my mind. They won't admit it, but they are for communism. Like 2020 and what happened with COVID, there was a virus that got people to stay indoors, and they listened to what the government told them to do, right? Today,
as they overstepped the Constitution.
Today, in almost 2024 or whenever this comes out, you wouldn't even need the excuse of a virus anymore. That's how bad it's gotten. If the government just said, stay in your house and don't leave, half the country would.
Yeah.
You don't even need the excuse.
Yeah, because it's like they worship the government over anything else.
So,
I'm like, this is what happens when you have misplaced values.
So when you get back to we the people, it's kind of hard because 50% of the people want government to be in full control.
They're like, well, I don't want to have to decide. And it's because, like you said, like a lot of people just like don't care. They're like, well, I don't want to think about it. And like people my
drives me crazy.
Yes, and I'm like, they don't understand why I do this. Like why I talk about. They're like, why do you care so much? Like, why don't you?
The thing is, people. My least favorite thing is when I ask somebody like, so where do you stand? What are your politics? Because I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. It's like, so are you left, right? Are you conservative, liberal, whatever? They get so scared anyway. They don't want to say anything, but their response is probably 80% of the time, oh, I'm not political and I'm not either. Then you are the weakest person on the planet.
You can't even decide.
You're a nothing to me. I would rather you be an extreme leftist and have a stance than no stance at all. Get off the fence. You're going to get shot in this war.
Yeah.
Not in a literal war. I don't mean that. It's just bickering back and forth.
Yeah.
And you're just standing in the middle getting hit by both sides.
Yeah.
So pick a side. Like, otherwise, we're doomed because you just have a bunch of people, like I said, the fake compassion take advantage of real compassionate. And then as soon as you give them what they want, they turn around and spit hate at you. So it's...
Yeah. And it's like, from the beginning you said, it's like, if you want to care, you feel free to advocate and do more because it's within as long as you are doing it within the Constitution, go for it. And it's like, a lot of people my age, I'm seeing they don't care about politics. They're like, well, I don't care about whatever's going on. It doesn't affect me. And it's me. It's secularism.
Oh,
it's
it is all self-focused.
And it's like, well, that, okay.
There's no social community.
Yeah.
I want what's best for the whole.
Yeah, and they're
it's
like,
I want what's best for me.
Whatever. They're like, I'm like, oh, did you hear about like what's going on in Israel this week? And they're like, why would I care? And I'm like,
well, people should care.
I'm like, okay, why don't you care? And it's like, especially like, I mean, aside from world news, like what's going on, what's going to be going on in election year, a lot of people don't vote. They have the right to freaking vote and they don't do it. And they say, because, I mean, I don't care. It's not going to affect me. I'm like, okay, it will, so that's wrong. Second of all, it's going to affect all of your children, too, and your children's children.
It's
like,
one of those things, like,
this is a domino effect.
Can you not vote? Yes. Should you not vote? No. The argument of, well, people fought and died for your right to vote, that goes both ways. They also fought and died for your right not to. Right? You have the choice.
Yeah.
But there's that should value. And yes, you should. That's part of being an American and caring. And the policies that affect your family's life, your society's life, your community around you, those policies. Somebody said to me the other day, it's weird, I don't want to, there's like, you're so handsome and you're so smart. How dare you, how can you be for Trump? That's what they told me. And I said, because I care about...
Because I know shit.
Because I care about policy. And let's say he could be the worst person on the planet. I don't care. I care about the things that affect my life from day to day.
Not everyone likes their bosses either. It doesn't make them a bad boss.
It doesn't make them a bad boss. Anyone in charge, you're going to find a flaw. And just because you believe what the media tells you, that's fine. But the media is the one place that's going to lie to you. But let's take your argument as true. Let's say he's bad. Let's just say he's bad. I don't care. I want my life to be better, and I'm voting on policy because that's what politics are.
Yeah.
So
it's not a popularity contest, but unfortunately it is.
That is why I support Trump, because his policies benefit my life, my family's life, my community's life. And well, he's anti-this and anti-that. Everybody is anti-something, okay?
I'm anti-women's rights.
I don't know if I should fist bump that, but yeah, I mean, like the right to vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
19th Amendment.
I had a friend, it was my brother-in-law, he passed away, but his famous saying that he said all the time was, everything went to shit when women got the right to vote.
Yes. Yes, and it's not like I'm not misogynistic.
You're not anti-woman.
I'm not anti. I am a woman, so I'm allowed to talk about this. So,
yeah.
But it's, and also like, here's the thing too. People are like, oh, you don't think that no, it's like, I'm more behind of all the effects and consequences that we've talked about, the consequences that stem from that. And it's not like I'm anti-woman, I'm misogynistic. Like, I'm a woman with a female-owned business. Like, I understand the privilege that I have in this country, and for that I'm very grateful. And like, I can contrast. I know that this is the freest country that I can live in.
Especially for a woman.
Yes, especially for a woman, because here I am saying my very controversial thoughts and opinions on a podcast.
The fact that you can fight the system at all.
Here I am. Like, what are you talking about? Feminism. Right. I'm out here literally stating controversial things on a podcast on YouTube right now as a woman. Like, what do you mean I'm not equal?
20,000 subscribers.
Yeah, I love that. So, like, what do you mean we're not equal? Because I feel like it's actually, I have a benefit because I'm a woman. Because there is unfortunately like less women-owned businesses, but like there's more benefit because there's such a scarcity. So I feel like it's sometimes I have like a leg up.
It is so strange to me that you never see the opposite. You never see promoted man-owned business.
They're like, oh, well, we can't talk about that.
You mean business. Because that's what it really means. You have to distinguish woman-owned business from business.
Yeah. We don't have men's rights month. We have women's rights.
Yeah, you don't have men anything because we don't need it. And I don't mean that in an insulting way.
Yeah.
It's like Will Ferrell came out and said, well, isn't it time that women take over the planet? Men have been screwing it up for long enough, really, because I mean we've made some leaps and bounds and giant skyscrapers and everything else. But you know what men didn't need? A washed up comedian telling us it was our opportunity.
Yeah.
We didn't need that. We don't need a washed up comedian to say, now it's your turn. Women might, but men don't. And the women that have led in history, that have been great leaders, didn't need it either.
Yeah.
They just do it.
Yeah.
Stop complaining and just be a person.
Be humble.
If you have to ask to lead, you're not a leader. And if you have to pick a leader, you pick the wrong guy.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah, and it's spot on too, and it's just so interesting that, you know, you talk about like this feminism, and like I said I'm anti-women's right, more of a joke of the consequence behind it, because I see what it's done to society, and especially taking away the far aspect of it. When you look at it close up, I see what it does to the nuclear family.
That's hard.
And I feel like I see what it does with Maslow's hierarchy of need, and like how it affects our biology, and like I'm very, very grateful that I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have rights. So that's great, but like I can understand the consequence, and two things can be true at once. Like, yes, I'm going to utilize it, and I'm gonna like.
The thing is, I don't understand rights for like trans people deserve right. What rights do they not have that I don't have?
We have the same ones.
I know. Well, I'm trying to figure out what rights they don't. Well, they don't have the right to use the bathroom that they want to use. That's not a right.
No.
I'm sorry, that's a private business's.
Then can I have that right?
Right. Can I just use whatever, can I just do whatever I want all the time? That's not a right.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have the right to play sports. Yes, they do. I have a right to play sports. I don't have the right to demand my spot. I don't have the right to demand my spot on a collegiate team. I don't.
I'm trans financial, and I was actually supposed to be a millionaire.
Right.
So I would like that fixed immediately.
You don't just get the rights to do whatever you want all the time.
Put
Those
trans
aren't
in front of
human rights.
anything, and you're good to go. You can be
Like
trans
I said,
financial.
you're not oppressed.
Yeah, trans housing. I was supposed to be living in a mansion, and
Right.
here I am. Where is my nice mansion at? You can put trans in front of anything, and you're good to go. But you just need to make sure that you put that on a sign, you hashtag it, and you LGBTQI plus the shit out of it.
And now you can put it on your government issue ID.
Get a bumper sticker. Whatever you are, trans, insert whatever you want here, and
Caitlyn Jenner also has female on her passport and driver's license.
And it's like, oh, that thing is just like a walking contradiction because she's also claims to be conservative.
Yeah, that's like a heroin addict telling me not to smoke cigarettes.
They're like, listen, this is what it does. And she says that, like, you don't know what it's done to me. I'm like, whoa, this is, no, I don't even know what to think of this.
I don't like it when people support, like, well, see, even they're on our side. It just stop.
No, we don't need them on our side, actually.
Just stop with you want, conservatives become the thing they hate. I've noticed a lot in big industries of conservative media, no offense to people that are in conservative media, but they will do the same thing they're against with affirmative action. Mm-hmm. There'll be a less qualified black conservative, but you'll give him the platform because he's a black conservative and it looks better on you. Yep. You are becoming the thing you hate. Not that saying they can't hire black people, but you're doing it intentionally to bring more black people. You're doing what is it? Representation. Yeah. That's what you're doing. But you've become the thing you hate, and I just want people to be hired for their performance and what they do. Yeah. No black genius, right, has ever questioned their worth when they got the job. They said, they only hired me because I'm black. No, they hired you because you're a genius, right? No one worth it has ever questioned whether or not they were worth it. Yep. When you create the DEI and say, we have to fill the slots, right? You don't know why you were hired. You don't know if it was because of your worth. Mm-hmm. And it creates, well, I was only hired because I was black, or you were only hired because you're black. It just creates more division. It doesn't create unity. And why are you trying to even things out 50-50?
Is that not even more racist?
It is. It's not, well, it's reverse discrimination. No, it's just discrimination.
Yes. It's a 360, actually.
Shouldn't 13% of the population make up 13% of the work?
Yeah.
Unless there's a freedom of choice. Just like women choose nursing and caring, and men choose engineering and tinkering. It doesn't mean a woman can't, but choice and variables come into play. Like, I don't look at the offensive line of the Eagles or the defensive line of the Eagles and say, we need more white representation. Well, that's based on skill. So is accounting.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Well, we need more white representation in the NBA. No, that's based on skill. So is every other job.
Yeah.
It's just it's a silly argument.
Yes, it's everything's coming 360 at this point, and it's a head spin.
It's just hypocritical. Everything is so hypocritical.
So what do you think the solution is?
The solution is actually coming forth because the pendulum goes this way too far and then goes this way too far. It never sits in the middle. So the solution is like here, but then it's going to go too far the other way. So we're almost to the solution again until we're not. And that's the way it works, because when it goes too far, it pushes people back to the middle. And then when it goes too far this way, it pushes people back to the middle. And so it just takes time for that pendulum to swing, because look at the left, how many people are bailing on that sinking ship? Yeah. So many people, because they went too far.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Right, yeah. They went too far. Even Bill Maher is not abandoning his principles, but he's abandoning the extreme left.
Yes.
And he used to be extreme left because the left used to be pro-freedom of speech. Now they're the most anti-freedom of speech, so they took it too far. And conservatives will also do the same. When we get the advantage, we're going to go too far, and people are going to bail and go back more the progressive way. The solution is right around here, and we're almost there because it's swinging back, but it won't stay there.
Yeah. Well, this was a good conversation. I like that it went a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah,
But
those
it
are the
was
most fun.
just
It's a normal,
creative conversation.
Yeah, it's not scripted and
Yep.
it's organic.
Not scripted at all and not planned at all. But this was great, and I feel like it's insightful because you have a lot of very good points too.
Thank you.
I like that you will agree and be like, okay, let's say that it is this, and it's still not true. So
right. You always, if
you have
the
to
best
poke a hole in
advice,
their argument.
Yes, the best advice I can give anyone is always assume what they're saying is true and always assume what you're saying is false. And people say, well, how does that work? Because if I hear what they're saying, then I defeat what they said. Then they've got nowhere else to go. If I deny what they say, they're going to say, yes, it is. And I'm going to say, no, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. But if I tear apart what they said as if it was true, it becomes false. And if you believe everything you're saying is false, then you're very careful with what you say. Yeah. So that's the best advice that I can give. Never assume you're right when you're talking.
Yeah, very good advice. Well, thank you, Sky, for coming on, and make sure that you guys follow Truth Media and follow Sky on Instagram. Check out his content, and I will link him below.